Good evening, my friends, and welcome into RPDX Sports. I'm your host, Tyree Smith, and tonight we are going to start with the one team right now that is in the postseason and making a lot of noise in the postseason, the Portland Winterhawks. They defeated Prince George in the first round of the WHL playoffs. They're going to be taking on Everett tomorrow in the second round of the WHL playoffs. They're all starting on the road, and then they'll get their home games on next week. And to join me to talk about this, the guy who you hear me calling those Portland Winterhawks games, Nick Marek. Nick, how are you doing in this playoff season? How is it feeling right now?
Tyree, I'm doing great. It's always exciting to be playing hockey in April. It feels, well, too bad I wasn't with you in studio there. We're actually already on the road getting ready for this game in Everett. So you see we're parked and ready to go. Team's doing some video work. They're getting all the X's and O's dialed in for this first game. I think there's a lot of excitement for this team going to the second round. And, now it's just how do you continue that and keep playing good, strong hockey?
And I mean, Kyle Gustafson, his first season at the helm, but has been with the Portland Winterhawks for many, many years. He has taken this team in strides. I'm curious just on your thoughts on his first year. It seems like this team maybe started a tad bit rougher, but it feels like the guys aren't even missing a beat.
For sure. Well, obviously, it's not an easy spot to step into a head coach position when last year was the team that was kind of built up for that championship run. Like, there really wasn't the expectations this year that this Portland Winterhawks team would be contending for a championship like they did a season ago. That being said, the coaching staff, along with Kyle and his crew and Mike Johnston and all the scouts, and they're able to identify some really strong players for this level and future pros that you'll be seeing in the NHL. So it just takes those players a little bit longer to kind of blossom in Portland, since they're coming from different programs from Canada or throughout the Western United States. But then once they become a Portland Winterhawk player and they kind of get involved with the system, they get up to speed with that. They always evaluate around that December time what the team's going to look like. And some of those young players, the rookies, they really took a nice jump. Because coming into the year, Tyree, this was the youngest Portland Winterhawks team we've seen in terms of experience going into the year. So it's kind of natural to understand it's probably a rebuild year. But honestly, I don't think the word rebuild has ever been associated around the Portland Winterhawks. It's just more of a retooling. So it's they have terrific leaders that come in this year with Kyle Chizowski and Tyson Jugnoth and Ryder Thompson, with both Chizowski and Thompson being 5-year Winterhawks. And they're obviously trying to extend their WHL careers as long as they can, because they made it to the finals last year. And there's so many players who, as much we're talking about the rookies, there's been guys who are used to being in this spot. They made it all the way to the finals last year against Moose Jaw. They know what it takes to win these tough series. And case in point, in round one, the Portland Winterhawks were the only underdog seed to actually win. Otherwise, it was the 1 seeds, the 2 seeds, and the 3 seeds all moved on. So Portland kind of surprised some WHL clubs, I'm sure, with their first round win over Prince George. And now they're trying to do it again against the best team in the Western Conference.
Nick, I have to ask you about that first round series, because we all thought this was wrapped up after 3-1, but they made it fun. They made it entertaining all the way to the end. How does a young team kind of come back from that? It seems after that, after PG got that second win, it was looking a little bit rough. So I'm curious, just what was the talks like? How were those conversations with your young guys, knowing that, hey, we kind of need to pick this thing up a little bit if we don't want to get booted out the first round?
Well, it's funny because I get to see it from both sides. Like, from the team's perspective, everyone's very calm, which is actually a very good thing to see at this time, even when you lose a game 5 or you lose a game 6 when you have a chance to eliminate a team, because it just shows that the locker room's fully committed and they're invested to winning this series. There's no panic. There's no need to kind of sway away from your game. So in a weird way, as calm as it is, it's actually a good sign to see that, because that means the team's really together and they're kind of on the same page. Now, from the fans' perspective, the funny part there is I think the term heart attack Hawks, cardiac Hawks, they've put out there because they've had some thrilling games that just the most unconventional way of winning hockey games. I mean, heck, against Prince George in October, they came back down 4 goals in the third period and won a game. So even in the postseason, under the biggest stress you could be under, whenever the team's under that siege, they've handled it since the fall months. So they know what it takes to kind of get over the hump. And part of that, too, it's just, it's the old cliche in sports, but it's the hardest to win that final game. When you're trying to end another team's season and literally take those 23 players and say, you're in summer mode, it's the toughest part to do. So I think there's a good learning message from that for the younger guys of kind of seeing what it takes. And even maybe their 100% wasn't enough. Maybe it had to be 115%, and that got the job done.
Best part is you're not done hearing Nick Marek yet, because second round is getting underway tomorrow. When we come back from break, Nick isn't going anywhere. We're going to talk more Winterhawks against Everett in the second round of WHL playoffs after the break. Welcome back, good people, to RPDX Sports. Tyree Smith joining me, the voice of the Winterhawks, Nick Marek, as they are getting set for their second round matchup against Everett tomorrow, 7 p.m. on the road. Nick, this is a team that Portland has seen about 4 times this year. 1-3 in that, but that one win that they got, it was a close one. So when you were calling those Everett games, what is something that you kind of saw that the Winterhawks need to really make sure they tighten up so they don't go into Everett and unfortunately maybe come out with a loss?
Well, Everett could be an explosive team. They could be a very deep team that we've seen during the regular season. They have a couple of NHLers. A few of them are a little bit injured kind of going into this round, so I'm not exactly sure what roster we'll see from Everett for these first couple of games of the series, but they've been just a dangerous team by committee. So I think when you translate that from regular season to postseason, it's how well do you hone in on those players? Can you get the right line matchups in the playoff situation? If you're Portland, can you have your stars from round one continue to be stars even with maybe more difficult matchups in round 2 against Everett? But I think you hit the nail on the head. The fact that this team has won games, I know you mentioned they're 1-3. They're 1-3 in Portland, but they're 1-3 in Everett too. So they met 8 total times, and they have a win in both situations. They've won on the road, they've won at home. That first round series, we saw them win really tough games on the road. It was following a loss in game 1. They responded with a game 2 victory in the first round. And then with both teams' season on the lines, playing in front of an at-capacity crowd in Canada, they got a big win there too, winning in kind of down the stretch in the final couple minutes there to pull away and then get the empty netter to win 4-2 over Prince George. So knowing those moments and having those big moments when you go up against a team like Everett will be important, because you don't really know what Everett looks like yet until you get to game 1. You're trusting on video, which is why you're speaking to me now, because the team's busy working on video to prep for this game 1 and game 2 this weekend. And then it's just kind of read and react. Then it's just play hockey and see how well the mental preparation does.
You talk about the mental preparation, and guys like Kyle Chizowski who have been on this team. You got Weiermauer, who's been very clutch in this first round of the playoffs, been very key, and also been pretty much vocal leaders. I'm curious on just the atmosphere with these guys kind of leading, because Chizowski is definitely one of those guys that's going to make an impact when he gets to that NHL level. So what's been the talks a little bit around these guys to keep them kind of focused going into the second round?
I don't think much changes in a weird way from kind of our March regular season games to playing March and April playoff games. It's the dynamic's kind of the same, because they've always had their vocal, that leadership's been present since then. So nothing's changed much from there. Maybe it's more, everyone's a little bit more focused, where, if a guy would come in and I don't know, want to watch TV in the lounge and then get to some work. It's more like they'll come in and it's more of a business mindset 24/7. So I'm coming in, I'm making sure I'm taking care of my body. I'm going over video with coaches. I'm hitting the bike or getting a cold bath and just making sure everything that you can do to contribute to the team is at top shape. So I think that's where the leadership kind of funnels. So you just see everything get a little bit more buttoned up at this time, but it's not necessarily like things are changing, because they've been good. And those leaders have been able to rely a little bit on their experience. Like I know there's been conversations of, the veterans telling the rookies, here's what it was like. Like it's hard to explain it until you see it, but expect to see it this way. And when this happens, here's how you can respond. So it's kind of one of those, if you're Kyle Chizowski, I'd love to be the one guy that just takes my team on my back and drags them through the entirety of the playoffs. But they know that's not reality in hockey. They need the full team to support them. So it's kind of that full team effort that takes not only to buy in, but just to make sure that everyone's on the same page and there's that accountability. So when, back's against the wall in a game 7 in round 1, you can handle that well.
Winterhawks faithful is about as much a part of the team as anybody. And you got 2 home games, a third one if necessary. And hopefully it doesn't come to that, how big is this community going to be? We got a little bit of time left, about 30, 40 seconds left. I'm curious because this is one of the best fan bases I've ever been around.
Yeah, Hawks fans have been killing it. Like this whole season, all throughout my time in Portland, I've loved getting to know everybody there. The VMC's rocking. There's nothing like a weekend crowd, especially at the VMC. So I'm a little sad based on the way the seedings fell that obviously games 3 and 4 be during the weekday on Tuesday and Wednesday. But if it doesn't go to game 6, like we don't really want it to, it would be a nice weekend home crowd there too, which is always great to enjoy. For fans, keep coming out and supporting this team. They've been terrific all year. They really, really feed off your energy, and continue wearing red too. Let's help red out the rink here for the playoffs.
7 p.m. puck drop, second round of WHL playoffs against Everett. Nick, appreciate you so much. Voice of the Winterhawks, make sure you guys are listening in to round 2 tomorrow. Thanks, Nick, and good luck tomorrow.
Appreciate that. Let's get some wins.
Let's get some wins. Coming up.